Hey, how's it going? This is James, and back with trying to become a famous author. This is my first one of these I'm doing it outside, so I might have to stop at any second if it feels like it's becoming too embarrassing. I don't think anyone's walked by too close yet, but there's definitely potential that someone is going to walk by, and I'm just going to have to end real quick to avoid complete humiliation from speaking to my phone outdoors. But it's pretty cold right now. I think it's around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, probably a bit more than that. I think, yeah, around 5 degrees Celsius if I'm converting right, or lower. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, back after a few months now, just for a quick visit. That's why I've sort of been off the radar for a few days. I was in transit, just flying over. I took some videos from that. I might try to put them together and make a little montage of the traveling, but I'm not sure. I don't want to try to get my computer to do too much, because last time I tried to do a bit of editing, it nearly blew up. A bit of an exaggeration, but it really did seem like it was it was basically having a tantrum from me trying to get it to editing. So I'm probably, if I get around to doing something like that, might give it a go. But I'm also, I do like putting videos together, and I'm pretty into like movies, and maybe one day making some kind of indie film, even if it isn't very good. But I'm trying to avoid doing too much of that right now. I'm just trying to focus more on the writing, obviously. But yeah, one day it'd be cool to come back around to that. So yeah, I guess it's like a long way to say for now I'm probably not gonna let myself get too into like video editing type of mood, but I still might try to throw that together. But yeah, it's been a crazy few days, because today in a few hours, we have the submissions due for the From Art's Seat, which is our student publication for the creative writing program. And I've already spoken about it before, but it's pretty much just all of us submit some writing, either poetry or prose, and then we get guaranteed publishing, because we publish it ourselves. So it's like a way of cheekily making us all published authors or published poets, despite not having actually gotten published by an outside source, just among ourselves. It isn't like you automatically get published, but one of the things that you do submit will get published. So in a way it is like guaranteed, even though there is like a high standard, I would say. Like they do expect what you submit to be good. So that's why I've kind of been stressing on that and working on that quite a lot. The last few days I wasn't sure if I was going to submit poetry or prose, but decided that I would go with poetry, because I think it's just more conducive to the time frame to be tinkering around with words in a poem, rather than trying to make large scale changes on a piece of prose, because the word limit is only 1,300 words for prose, and that's not a whole lot. I'm going to switch hands because this hand is freezing up. It's not a lot, whereas poetry I think is a bit, it feels still as challenging, but I think the reward of poetry, I think a way to put it is, after putting all that work into a poem, I think I'd be more happier with the end product than into prose. I think for this like very short space and low word count, it would be very difficult to try to submit a piece of prose that I'm very happy with, whereas with poetry it feels a bit more possible, even though not easy. So we have between 2 and 5 poems to submit, up to 5 pages, and right now I have 5 poems and I've nearly finished five pages, so I'm pushing the boundary. And that, I don't think that means I think people who are submitting very short poems could benefit from working on a smaller thing, whereas with me, I think having more poems doesn't necessarily mean that I'll be in a better place. I guess it just means it'll be easier for the editors to differentiate between the duds and what might be good, because I don't have too clear a grasp on that. gotten a few of these workshops with some other people in the course, and I've got some family members to give me some feedback. So I have their opinions, and I've been working with that, but I can only sort of inundate them with requests to look at my stuff to a certain extent before I'm just being a nuisance. So I'm sort of in the dark right now. I really wouldn't be surprised if the one that I think is best is the opposite, and one of the ones I think isn't as good is better. So I'm going to be surprised, I think, either way with what they end up picking. But it is also kind of daunting because there's months before we actually put out this work, and there's months of editing. I'm going to be one of the prose editors, so I'll be working on that. It's also another reason I don't want to submit prose, because it really feels like I'm like an inside trader at that point. Like if I'm submitting prose but also one of the editors, it does really seem like I have skin in the game, and I'm submitting my own stuff. So that's helpful to submit poetry for that. But yeah, just going back to the yapping before, it's just daunting because there's so much time between now and when it actually will come out. Yet in a few hours from now, that is sort of the last say we're going to have. We can decline a maximum of 5% of suggested edits. That's our guidelines. And for poetry, I think 5% of edits is going to mean maybe one word change we might have to say over. So pretty much, I guess after this, I'm giving away what I've worked on, and it's out of my reach, and whatever they reckon is best will be the way it is. And on one hand, that's scary because I don't know if I'll like the changes. They'll probably be good, but it's just weird to relinquish control to that level. And on the other hand, it's also daunting because it just feels very final. Like even if not many changes are made, I mean, especially if not many changes are made, what I'm submitting now could be the only published work I have that is completely representing myself. And this isn't exactly like the biggest published collection of short stories and poetry ever, so I'm probably worrying about it a lot more than I need to. But that's just where my head has been, and so yeah, I've been working on that for the last few days, and now I'm just trying to go outside and take a bit of a break because yeah, it's very, very stunning here. I think getting from autumn into winter, there's still like a few leaves like barely clinging on to the trees here, and it's somehow feeling a bit less cold than Edinburgh. I think the windiness in Edinburgh for the last week was quite brutal, but here it's sort of just quiet and a bit drier, still very cold, but in a way that is a bit less confrontational. I feel like this is sort of more of a it suits the mood of writing poetry. It feels like a softer kind of chilliness, but that might just be for now. I don't know if when the temperature drops even more, I'll be as happy with it. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice that one of the main things that is in my mind right now is how good my poems are. It's, I think, a good problem to have, and yeah, it makes me feel better about choosing to do this course and spending money on it, just knowing that I'm in a place where I'm really being forced to try to put out my best work. So yeah, it's made me realize how much I sort of need that. I think I know I can work hard and like show discipline, but I think it's a lot easier, I guess, when there are strict deadlines and the stakes feel this high, when it feels like there's really something about, well, there's not really your reputation, but just something very concrete on the line. Because yeah, I just don't want to submit crap poems. So yeah, it's definitely both, I guess, nice to know that I think this was a good decision, and reinforcing to know that it's pushing me to put out good work. But at the same time, yeah, it definitely feels very real in a way that my studies haven't as an undergrad, because of course they were like in different areas and they they were all just unrelated often, and all coming together to form my final grade, and just a bit of a hodgepodge mix of things. Whereas this feels as though it's sort of right next to me in terms of proximity. It isn't all over the place. It feels like as though if this fails or isn't very good, then it's going to be directly impactful. But yeah, I don't know, that's just possibly fear talking, doing another hand change here. So yeah, that's really all. Taken away, enjoying being back in the States, and especially in Massachusetts, which is a place I really loved while I lived here. Still glad to be based out of Edinburgh, even though Massachusetts has lots of great things. I think it's a pretty amazing place with all of the trees and the seasonal changes. I think Edinburgh is just suiting the way that I want to live right now a bit more, with being able to focus on writing and living in a very literary sort of place. I mean, I feel that there's a bookstore on every street, which I really like, and also I guess just escaping a lot of the US drama too. I know that if you're in somewhere that's quite well off, like these suburbs, you're pretty insulated from a lot of that crap, but it always felt weird being in the States and just sort of turning a blind eye to lots of the background noise. I think it wasn't like, I understand why that's sort of necessary, because you sort of just got to focus on your own well-being, but I don't know, I think in terms of egregiousness, I feel much better being a bystander and sort of politically uninvolved person in Edinburgh than Boston, but and the US, I mean. So yeah, I don't know, that's a bit of a tangent, but a long way of saying that I'm loving being in Edinburgh, even though it is very nice to be in Massachusetts right now. So anyway, I might try to upload some more. I know the streak is now over. It's ironic that right after I said that I was going to try to keep the daily things going, I then went radio silent for 3 days, but maybe I'll get back into it now. Have to wait and see, but we'll at least try to put up a few more videos while I'm here and document some of the travels. So yeah, that's all. Hopefully I will get some more writing down below soon. Maybe I'll attach poems, and yeah, I'd love to hear what people think about them, but that'll probably be in a little while from now. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to put things on the website if they're up for being published, but yeah, I'll put something new there soon. So thanks for keeping an eye on the space. Yeah, let me know how you're faring in either warmer or colder conditions, and I will talk again soon. So yeah, see ya.